You're driving at a bar district, a fight breaks out, but this ain't a fight like you've seen before. Your car gets attacked, you get attacked. What happens? We're talking about that now. Hey everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to the Rideshare Guy. A fellow driver was attacked in a fight when he was going to pick up his passengers because a fight broke out right near the car. The only thing is, this fight was a lot different because it wasn't just confined to a couple of people. It was pretty much everybody. And so the driver was attacked, the car was attacked, and Uber didn't really do much about it. So we have an interview with the driver. We're going to show you a part of the video of what had happened, as well as some safety tips that you can follow in the event something similar like this could happen, and you will be able to protect yourself at least, and your car might suffer some damage, but at least you'll be okay. But let's face it, hopefully your car won't either. So what you see on the screen right now is the fight that broke out on the street. And then some of the people got into the car because they ordered the ride, but they were still part of the fight. And then everybody kind of surrounded and it broke out into a massive fight instead of, like I said, just a few people. And normally that's what happens. If you've driven in busy bar districts, you've probably seen that happen, especially later at night. If you drive at night, you'll probably see that. Usually there's a good cop presence and they will bring people right there and it's quickly taken care of. But this one wasn't. And unfortunately, it left the driver going to the hospital, having to take time off and deal with getting the car fixed. And during this entire time, it was very uncertain if Uber would be doing anything to help this driver out. Now, the driver here reached out to us and we were able to ask him a few questions that he gave some answers to. So we're going to go over that right now. What happened? The driver responded, "I was unlucky. There was a fight on the main bar drag of the town. I've seen fights before, but generally they've been quickly contained by police or security, and generally they've been limited to the participants of the fight. This group was different. They were extremely aggressive and they didn't make any distinction between bystanders and participants. There were roughly half a dozen men who attacked me and my car, including one which opened my car door and attacked me directly. This is the one that you saw in the video. The others were attacking the passengers in the car, and they were attacking the car itself in order to menace the people in the car. Yeah, I'll admit that I didn't prepare at all for this happening. Generally, my area is safe, and there haven't been many concerning stories about dangers to driver safety. I've been a driver for 4.5 years, and I've driven all sorts of people, many very drunk. I've generally operated by not giving anyone a reason to be angry with me, with the exception of riders who try to overload the car, but those confrontations have never escalated. So I had treated this ride like the others with my driver habits, being to pick up the passengers by unlocking the doors. Speaking of the passengers, they were awful and mercenary. They had started the fight, which spilled over into the car. I've seen other video, and after it happened, they were completely ungrateful, unsympathetic, and were hostile towards me. I didn't even get a thank you from them. Later, one of them compared the damage to me and my car like the time that her car had engine problems, as if the assault were just a force of nature with no human will to it. In terms of injuries, I have a slight scar on the right side of my face where I was punched. The stress from the incident kept me from sleeping fully for about a week, which in turn resulted in me becoming very sick. That lasted about 10 days where I couldn't sleep because the cough was so bad. The assailants were trying to rip the door off the hinges and completely damage the hinge. They kicked a large dent into the quarter panel. The cost of the repairs to the car was $1,500. The insurance disclaimed the event once they learned it was during Uber hours, and Uber carries a $2,500 deductible on their insurance policy, recently raised from $1,000 a few months ago. Uber did resolve the matter, but there was a lot of uncertainty during the process. So we followed up. Has he returned to doing Uber and Lyft yet? And how long did he take off for? The driver's response was, I didn't drive for close to a month. I did return to driving to try to get back to normal. I am weary now of the situation and will go home earlier. Then we asked what kind of legal action was taken against these people, whether it was the passengers, whether it was the people around the car, anything like that. His response was, legal action is pending. The assailants were not arrested that night, and there were trouble trying to identify them. Then we asked him, what does he recommend for other drivers who may be in a situation that could become similar to that? His response is, if you see a fight going on, just drive away. It's not worth getting involved. The passengers, especially the clout chasers, are not worth the trouble, and they often lack human decency. And then we asked him if there was any last comments or anything that he wanted to share. His response was, Uber should support policies that improve public safety across the board because ultimately that is what keeps drivers safe. There is limited ability to keep us safe from the distance of the app. So the only way really to make sure is that local municipalities maintain law and order. And also he says, I think that when a driver is harmed, Uber should also send a private investigator to try to find information on the perpetrators and bring them to justice. There needs to be a deterrence reputation built up that harming an Uber driver results in consequences. All right, just want to say thank you to the driver for sharing that information and also answering some of those questions, and hope you're having a good, speedy recovery from that interaction, as well as just getting back to normal and not have to worry about something like that. All right, now let's talk about a few safety tips that you can take to help. So if the event that there's a fight that breaks out and it looks like it's coming towards you, you can take the proper precautions to make sure that you're going to be okay and hopefully your car will be okay. The first and best thing you can do is keep your doors locked. Keep your doors locked all the way up until you verify your passengers who are standing right there. If there's a fight that's broken out nearby, keep your doors locked. Tell them, hey, look, I had a problem beforehand, even if they're standing right there. Especially if there are people who are involved in the fight, at that point, cancel the ride and get out of there. Uber and Lyft both say that safety is important. And if you need to get out of there because you feel unsafe, whether it's a fight, whether it's some dodgy people, shady people, anything like that, then you can get up and go. You don't have to sit there and wait. The second thing is always pay attention to what's going on around you and be prepared for the worst. So if you see a fight that breaks out that's around 2 to 3 people, expect it to go much bigger and where it could become crazy. One of the things is if there's a lack in the police, well, it's going to probably grow. If you see a bunch of cops going on top of the fight and collecting there, chances are it will be over. Even though the cops might be right there, be prepared and stay alert because they might be right there. Something down the road might be breaking out. And because there's a heavy police presence right there, there's going to be less cops over there. So it could turn into chaos. Again, unless the situation is completely taken care of, just be prepared and pay attention. Now, one of the things that I do when I'm picking up passengers or even dropping them off, depending on the bar district, there's a few in my area that are very busy and it's very hard to pull over to the side of the road to drop them off safely. What I end up doing is I go onto a side road. So I know where there's a couple of standing zones only, and then you just pull in right there, let them out, or if you are picking them up, it's the exact same thing. You just stand right there. And then what you do is just give them a call, let them know exactly where you are. And if you have to guide and talk them the entire way until they get to your car, go ahead and do that because then you know who's getting in your car. You know that that's the right passengers, and it's going to keep you off of that road, which is going to be much safer because maybe if a fight breaks out, it's in the middle of the road and you can't go anywhere. But if you're on a side road that's right near that bar district, then you can get out and it's going to be much quicker because that's not where the action is. Another thing that I agree with what this driver had said is that Uber needs to have better safety policies in place and the ability to identify a potential person because they have their actual information that is created to use an account. Something like that needs to be in place. Also, they need to have better strategies at keeping everybody safe, drivers and riders included. But again, the biggest takeaway in all this, if you ever see a fight nearby, lock your doors. And if it starts getting crazy, get out of there. You can cancel the ride and move on to the next. Your safety is very important. Make sure that your safety comes first. All right, now what are some tips that you have for safety when you're driving? Comment below and share it with everybody. Now, if you want to send this driver well wishes, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time new videos are uploaded. including anything that is dealing within the gig economy, changes, updates, and how you can maximize your earnings as a rideshare driver. All right, everyone, drive safe.